Okay, in this video, we're going to discuss or take a look at how to properly lay out a trifold brochure. Right now, you're looking at two PDF files. One says Industrial Layout Adjusted, if you look at the very top. And then we see another one that says Industrial Layout Supplied. If I mouse over into the lower left-hand corner, you're going to see that they're both 8.5 by 11. In other words, or 11 by 8.5. In other words, they are a standard letter size trifold brochure. And they are also double-sided. This is side one, side two. Okay, on the industrial layout supplied. And then on the industrial layouts adjusted, 8.5 by 11, well, that's my 8.5 letter size, side one and side two. They both look identical. They both are the same size. One is wrong and one is correct. So we're going to take a look at it and see which one it is and how you should properly lay out a trifold letter size brochure. Analyze. Right now we have both layouts open. We have the industrial layout supplied open, and we also have the industrial layout adjusted open. And let's take a look at the industrial layout supplied open first. Now, as you can see, I'm going to open up the page palette so that you can review. You'll notice that this one has two 8.5 by 11 pages that are divided equally in thirds. Okay? In other words, you have an 8.5 by 11 that is divided in thirds on the first side, and then on the second side, you have the same situation where it's divided equally on the back side. So now let's take out the industrial layout adjusted. Now, in this case, we have two sides, but we have 6 panels total. In other words, you have 3 pages on one side, and then you have 3 pages on the second side. Actually, the one that is correct is the industrial layout adjusted. Reason being is because with a letter size trifold brochure, you have to have what they call a short fold, where you have one panel that is shorter than the other two. So if we use the page tool right here, and we're on the layout adjusted, on the front side, side one, which would be page one, if we tap on that with the page tool, you notice that measures 3.6 inches wide. Now the height is going to be the same in every single panel. It's only the width that's going to change. Then we take the page tool, we click on page 2, and that measures 3.7. Click on page 3, and that measures 3.7. So you have 3.7 plus 3.7 plus 3.6, which equals 11. Then if we drop down to the second side, you'll notice that this side has to mirror the front side, which means that this would be page 4 on the far left side, 5 and 6. So page 6, being the panel on the far right side, has to be the same width as page 1 on the front side. So if we tap on this, you'll see that 3.6, and then 3.7, 3.7, and that equals 11. So this is actually the correct layout because it has the short fold. So let's take a look at how you can set this up in InDesign. Here's what we need to do. We know that when we set this thing up, we know that it has to be 6 pages total, and we know that we have to have 3 pages on one side and 3 pages on another side. There are several ways to do this, but I'm going to show you a way that I am going to do it for this exercise so that I can show you a few tricks that will help you to be able to lay it out properly. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to File, drop down to New Document, okay? Now we know it's going to be 6 pages, so we'll type in 6 pages, all right? And right now, let's just keep it at the letter size. And if you notice that by default, InDesign gives you a pica measure, and that is an old school um, uh, printer measurement, but we're going to change that to inches. So we'll just keep it at 51 by 66. We'll keep it letter size, and we're going to make the orientation. We're going to make the orientation so that it's a horizontal orientation, so that the height is 51 picas. And we'll say, okay. So now what we have is and I'm going to pull this page palette. I'm going to click on this, all right, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull it out so you can take a look at it and see. What we have here now is a 6-page document, all ducks in a row. They're all the same size, 11 inches wide, 8.5 inches deep, okay? So what we know is, we want to set this thing up in such a way where we have 3 on one side and 3 on the other side. So in other words, we need to bring 2 and 3 up next to page 1. So if I tap on 2 and I put my finger on the shift key, tap on 3, and I try to pull them up, you notice nothing is going to happen. So there's something that we need to do to make that happen. And here's what you do. In this page palette, in the upper right-hand corner where you see this grid, you tap on that grid and you deselect Allow Document Pages to Shuffle. So you make sure you tap on that so that you deselect it. So if you notice, when I click on it again, it's no longer selected. Now I can do what I need to do. I'm going to take page 2 and 3, take that and pull that up side by side with page 1. Then I'm going to take 5 and 6, pull that up next to page 4. So now basically I have 2 sides that have 3 pages apiece. But as you can see, it's obvious, it's wrong. The widths are off. We know we need to have on the first side, page 1 needs to be 3.6 inches wide, and then page 2 and 3 need to be 3.7 inches wide. So how do we do that? Well, the way we change the size, the width of the page, is by using the page tool. So I'll click on the page tool, click on the very first page, page 1, and well, before I do that, I want to change the unit measures from picas to inches. And the way you do that is where you see the rulers meet in the upper left-hand corner, just right-click that and drop down to inches. You're going to see there are several unit measures you can select, but for this exercise, we're going to use inches. Alrighty, so now that we have inches, we're going to make the width, the first page 1, 3.6, like our sample, 3.6. All right, well, I'll just hit the tab key. But if you notice, when we made it 3.6, now we have this big gap here, and that's not going to work because they all need to be together. They need to be spreads. Okay, here's what you have to do. And I'm showing you this because I want you to be able to make sure you do this in order for this thing to work properly. Go up to File, drop down to Document Setup, and make sure you tap on Facing Pages. And you say, okay. Now, once you tap on Facing Pages, let's make that adjustment again and see what happens. 3.6, look at that. Now, they all are tight as one unit. So we know that that one is going to be 3.6. Page 2 is going to be 3.7. Okay, type in 3.7. All right. And then page 3 is going to be 3.7. All right, so we type in 3.7. Okay, great. Now we have to take care of the second side. Now we know that page 4 is going to mirror what is page 3. 4 is going to mirror page 3 because it's going to be flipped. So we know that page 3 is 3.7. So we tap on that, make that 3.7. All right. And then the middle, that's also going to be 3.7. All right. 3.7. And then we know that page 6 is going to mirror what is page 1. All right. So page 1, we know is 3.6. So we're going to make this one 3.6. Okay, 3.6. Now, if you notice, they will align. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. I'm going to zoom in so you can see something. They're going to align once they're printed back to front. Now I'm just going to take a guideline. I'll put it here after page 1. And then I'm going to take another guideline and put it here after what is page 4. And as you can see, yes, it doesn't line up here, but it's not supposed to. It's supposed to, again, 1 aligns with page 6, and then page 3 aligns with page 4. All right, so now let me just zoom out so we can see this. Okay, Now, the only thing left that we need to do is put in the bleeds. All right. So once again, we have this thing set up the way we want it. 3 pages on one side, 3 pages on the other side. So I'm just going to put this back in my panel right here. So what I'm going to do now is go to File, drop down to Document Setup, and then I'm going to type in the bleeds. Now, I happen to know what the decimal measurement is for. It's going to be an eighth of an inch. I happen to know that that's 0.125 inches. I know that. But if you're not sure, InDesign makes it easy. All you have to do is type in 1/8, make sure it's all linked, and just say OK. And it's going to give you that eighth of an inch bleed all the way around. You're going to have it on the front side, and you're also going to have it on the other side. So that's how you can properly set up your trifold template in InDesign. Hopefully this helps.